loves, Daddy cares. He protects, He provides. Stay the course through every storm. He's the hero of my life. Show me love, show me care. Please protect, please provide. Stay the course, stay at home. I need a hero in my life. Be the hero of my life.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm 32. I grew up with my father. He lived with my family. And I knew him up until he passed when I was 17. By just being there and, loving my sisters and I, and always joking with us and laughing with us, playing with us, and allowing us to be who we were. He didn't impose his expectations of what he wanted us to be, but whatever it was that we wanted to do, him and my mother were just super supportive and just wanted us to go after those things. I can remember as a child just looking up to him and thinking of him as like a hero, because he's such a big guy physically, but also in personality. He was very gentle and just loving. So as a kid, that's a great thing to have in a father, is someone who you feel like can be a protector physically, but that isn't overbearing or authoritarian socially. And I just remember very fondly just playing with him, and him just some of the same corny dad jokes he used with us, I use with my daughters now. And so yeah, as a child, he really influenced, just that aspect of having fun and trying not to, wear the weight of the world on your shoulders. When I was a teen, that's when I feel like where I guess most people kind of move away from their parents or try and find themselves outside of the identity that they had within their parents. I think that's when I leaned more into wanting to spend more time with my dad and just be around him. Both my parents instilled a lot of values in us, and one of the most important things for him was that we had a personal relationship with Christ. And I can remember as a teen staying with him later after church or going with him to different events, Bible study related things. There was one time where we were in this Bible school. My mom, my dad, and myself were in this Bible school, and on the weekend they had a brunch, and the two of us went, and it was nice to be able to take that time and spend time with him and just see him interact with different people, because he was very personable. I remember specifically after that day coming, we were waiting for the train to go back home because we were in Queens and we had to get back to Long Island, and there was a stranger waiting on the platform with us, and they just had a whole 25-30 minute conversation. I can't remember on what, but that's not something I I would do, because personally I'm more of an introvert, but he's just very personable, and it was always good to be able to sit with him and just talk with him. I'm kind of more reserved as a person and don't really like to share my feelings, but my father was one person, probably the one person that I felt the most comfortable speaking to about just different things I was thinking about and going through. And so, we lost him when I was 17, and I actually was with him when he passed. We were leaving a Bible study, and I think that had a significant impact on me, as a 17-year-old and going through the rest of my teenage years, kind of missing that camaraderie that I had with my father as a teenager. And as I got to know him better, and as he, opened up more and share more with me about what it means to be a man and what it means to treat people well, not just people that you want something from, but complete strangers. Actually, the weekend before he passed, we went out to eat somewhere, and on our way back home, it was at night. There was a guy who needed a ride. It was at night, middle of the dark. And he pulled over and gives this guy a ride to get closer to his destination. Just that kind of selflessness, not in a reckless way. He was always mindful of what he was doing, but, you know, treating people with compassion, and not just because you want something from them, but because people deserve to be loved and respected. So he definitely influenced a lot of my values as I was coming up as a teen. Mostly through just memories I had of him, because obviously by the time I was leaving my teenage years, he was no longer there, but the impact of not just the things he said, but the things he did, and being able to see throughout the span of 17 years how he treated people, how he treated my mother, how he treated my sisters, how he treated his coworkers, and hearing people come up to me that I didn't even know and saying how much my father impacted their lives. Those things were always informative for me, and often as I've gone through different challenges in my life, I've thought about my father and things that he had gone through or had persevered through, and just kind of tried to think, like, what would he do in this situation? Specifically, I ended up going to law school while having a family, and that was a challenge because, you know, it requires a lot of focus and effort to be a good student, and it also requires attentiveness and focus and effort to be a good father, a good husband. And I can remember vividly growing up and my dad having 2 jobs while going to school and still being a part of our lives. So things like that, just looking back on his actions and the things that he did, even though he's not here to kind of talk to and just be with, I do have those memories, and when I am in trouble, my father is one of the people that I'm still able to draw inspiration from, just because he was so impactful in my life. By his actions, the way that he was just around with us and laughed and joked with us, I try and take that same approach with my kids, playing with them and being silly with them, trying to teach them right from wrong and talk to them about different things that they might face in life. But I think that I try and channel that gentleness and silliness as often as I can. This video is probably not long enough for me to accurately really describe the impact my father has had on my life, because it's just been that large. Can I ask you a question? How would you describe Daddy using one word?
Great. Gay.
Okay, cool. Grab a 5. High 5. Just realize how brilliant they are and how beautiful and talented they are, and to understand the value that they have in themselves, and to not let anyone ever tell them any differently. I do have godsons, and if I ever were to have a son, I would just want to instill in them to not be afraid to be different, and not to assume that being a man means one thing. I think we often picture a man in a very specific way, but just the way I was brought up, you know, I watched my dad do household chores, cook, and, you know, work with his hands, just sing in a choir, do a bunch of different things. So I just think it's important for our sons to understand that there is a lot of leeway in what it means to be a man, and that you don't have to have such a strict idea of what that means and feel like you need to be competing to be more masculine than the next person, because history has shown us many great men who have come in various shapes and sizes and creeds and have done things in sports and medicine and just all walks of life, and those men have looked very different. I would just want him to know how much I love him, how proud I am to be his son, and let him know that I miss him every day, and I think about him all the time, and except for the times that it's too hard to do so. And I would probably just talk to him about how much I wish he could meet and see my own family, and tell him how much I just appreciate the man he is and the role model that he always has been to all of us.
Oh, I need a hero in my life, be the hero of my life.